Hey everybody, welcome to our training session today. I'm going to try to do a lot more of these Facebook Disruptor schools. We'll see how you guys like them, but I'm going to try to really dive into it and help you guys out. Today's lesson is on the Scrum Doc. Now, I posted a reel of this document that I use, and to be completely honest, I've been using it for years to manage between maybe $100 a day to $1 million a day. And I got a really, really strong reaction from everybody just wanting to know all about it. So I felt like, let me walk you through it. Now, you saw how it was built, right? And you can take a look at that doc and you can backtrack your way into it. And yeah, hey, look, man, if you want to know how things get done, somebody commented, absolutely. What I can help you guys do here, first off, is if you get the ebook or on the Scrum Doc, which is available on Patreon, which is there's a link to it on FacebookDisruptor.com. You can learn how the ins and outs of the document. Now, to actually build the document, I've shown you guys sort of what it looks like, and today what I wanted to do is really walk you through as best I can in these scenarios how to build it as best I can, and also how to utilize it for some of the lessons and learnings that you need. By the way, if you want to build this on your own or get a lot more help, what I highly suggest is, do not be scared to jump into the Patreon and do it. Now, on Patreon, there's a brand new tier. It's called Facebook Disruptor School. It's got an archive, a library of ebooks. It's got hundreds of hours of video resources for you. There's a dedicated Slack channel with group classes every single week. And if you mention that you saw it here, because we're having a hard time right now in the world of Facebook ads, I'll give it to you 50% off a month. So go check that out, okay? Now, with that being said, the Scrum Doc itself, what I really want you to get down to is understanding what this document contains and also understanding what this document is set up to do. And then lastly, or maybe most importantly, how to actually kind of do some of the columns. So I'm pulling it up here on my screen, one of mine, so I make sure that I can go through everything that I showed you yesterday. And I'm not going to show you everything here because there is proprietary info and all that fun stuff, but if you want to know it, come into the school, and during the group classes, we do screen shares. We could literally devote an entire class to building it for you, and there are videos of me building it for other people, so you can see folks getting their Scrum Docs built from scratch just for you. And we can do it for you if you join the school, and if you join the school, you can see a bunch of other videos of it happening. But I'm going to help you out. Now, some of these columns are very simple, right? Now, Scrum Doc ultimately is going to track ideally about 7 or 8 different metrics. Now, all we really need to download on a daily basis from Facebook is 3 of them: spend, conversion volume, and revenue. That's all we give a damn about if we're selling products. Literally everything else is what I would like to call a garbage metric. It does not matter. CPC, completely fucking useless in Facebook. CPM, completely useless in Facebook. CTR, completely useless, because all of those are highly determined on where somebody is in the funnel, what audiences you're using, how good your ads are, what the offer is. There's a million things at play, and none of them are actionable. If the data isn't actionable, then it's basically fucking useless when you're trying to put together a document to decide how you're going to make decisions. Okay? Now, mind you, this is all referencing a reel I dropped like 2 days ago. I highly recommend you go back to the reels, check that thing out, save it, follow, share to your friends, all of that fun stuff. And yes, I'm wearing a Steelers jersey. Playing the Hall of Fame game today, 16-3. I should have thrown money on it. I knew I should have. Anyway, that being said, we're going to sort this out in columns left to right. The first column is ad spend. So it's how much money you spent, amount spent. That's easy, right? You've got that column inside of Facebook, so we just download that. The next column is total conversion. So this might be results. Although I never use the column results, I want to know what that result is. Define that result, and you'll have far less reporting issues, by the way. And you'll have far less zeros and blank spaces in your dashboard. So we're going to define that result. Let's say for this purpose, it's a purchase. So we've got ad spend, and we've got purchase. And then we have revenue, total purchase conversion value. Okay? So those are the 3 things that we actually need from Facebook. We legitimately don't need anything else to build this document that I personally manage hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue and ad spend with, right? This is how I've managed 7, 8, 9-figure brands, was by looking at these 3 fucking columns. It's all you need. These 3 columns and understanding the data that it gives you can legitimately help you get Facebook down to 90 minutes a week, well less than an hour a day if you have a lot of hard work in front of you. And all of that time that you get back, you can utilize to really dive into business development. You can dive into all of the other things that are really necessary. Maybe you need to update your email game. Maybe you need to really get better at TikTok or work with some influencers or all these other things that right now you don't have time for. Maybe the best thing that you need to get good at is enjoying life and taking time in for your day. Maybe it's just that simple. So I'm going to drop this thing in here. By the way, if you want to get into the Facebook Disruptor School or just join the Patreon where you can get the ebook that'll walk you through the finer points of this, go to the link that I've typed down here. It's literally facebookdisruptor.com. You can Google it if you want to. Facebook Disruptor, that's me. So, and the Disruptor Group, by the way, is the top 100 elite advertisers in Facebook. And by the way, half of them are my students. Anyway, that being said, we've got spend, we've got conversions, we've got revenue. We don't need anything else. We've got everything that we need to manage a $100 million business as far as Facebook is concerned. You can also manage a $100 a day business this way. So it works on everything. I've been using this. I developed this, and I've been using it for the better part of a decade, okay? So point number 2 that we're going to get to is some columns that you're going to have to start to build. One of them, total CPA, cost per acquisition. Now, this is how much does it cost to get a sale that day on average. So what we need to do is take our total ad spend and divide it by our total number of conversions. Simple. That's your CPA, okay? That's going to tell you how much on a daily basis does Facebook say making a sale costs you. Also, that's the most important number in your entire Facebook ad account, the CPA. And we'll get to more. Thank you. All right, next thing, profit. Profit's a big number, and it puts into context a lot of things. Now, how do we get profit? Total revenue minus total ad spend. Now, profit is a really big number because a lot of times people are going to say, well, my ROAS is falling from a 3 to a 1. Like, great. That can be phenomenal. That means you're spending enough. Now, here's a really big deal. A lower return on ad spend can generate you a much higher profit if you're getting more sales. It's way better to make a 1.5x ROAS on $1,000 a day than a 5x ROAS on 100. Because one of them makes you $500 a day in profit. The other one only gives you $400 a day in profit. Now, I don't know what school of thought you come from, but $500 is more than $400. Plus, you're getting more customers. And remember, every number that you see inside of Facebook is artificially lower than the truth. So you're actually going to get, maybe you're getting 10 sales a day according to Facebook, but your store says, oh shit, I made 13 sales today. Now, what happens if you make 100 sales today? Do you think it's going to say 103 or is it going to say like 130? The point is, it's going to be off, but it's going to be wrong by the same amount all the time. And that's the really big thing that we care about. It doesn't have to be accurate. Facebook reporting and its level of accuracy are two completely different things. We don't give a damn if it's accurate. If it's wrong, it's going to be wrong by the same amount all the time. All we care about is making that CPA better that we talked about earlier. Remember? Total spend divided by total purchases. That's your CPA. Now we have our profit so we can understand how much money are we actually making. The next column that we have is total ROAS, total return on ad spend. Now this one you all know, hopefully. Total revenue, purchase conversion value, divided by total ad spend, amount spent. Now this is on a daily basis for everything that happened that day. Right now I'm measuring on a 1-day post click. I understand I'm not necessarily going to see everything. And I don't give a damn. Because I also have something else that we'll get to at the very end of this. Because remember, anything past a one-day click is taking credit for other people's work, is not actionable. And if you try to take action on predicting the future, saying, I'm going to spend $1 today because I know someone's going to take an action in 4 days against a lookalike audience, so it's already, I'm bidding in the future against an audience that I'm not necessarily 100% certain about, and maybe I'm even using cost cap against that, so I'm trying to predict what that person in the future that's in an audience that doesn't necessarily exist yet is going to do. The likelihood of you being right there is pretty fucking bad, and you cannot build a business on it. Those are just the facts. Now you're going to get some out of context screenshots from a whole bunch of people with really good clients that aren't necessarily really good at their job, but they're really great at selling. And they're going to dispute that point. But you know what? Fuck them. They're wrong. They're making a ton of money because they have very successful clients and they're really good at sales or business management. They have good skill sets and they're doing well because of it. But you should not be listening to a CEO or a salesman when it comes to learning how to do the job. When your iPhone breaks, are you going to trust Tim Cook to tell you how to fix it? No, he runs Apple. He sure as fuck isn't going to fix it when my fucking power button sticks. He's not the guy to call. No. So don't trust somebody that's running a giant agency to tell you how you're supposed to run things. If it's a really successful agency, that person got there because they're really good at business. Right? They're really good at a lot of other things. But if they're really good at that stuff, it almost definitely means that they're not good at the actual in-the-weeds stuff. And some of the most highly trusted and well-respected individuals who've been in the game for a really long time are absolute dog shit at actually doing the work or even understanding what's going on. But that's okay. That's okay. That's why I'm here to help you out. Now, the next thing that we have, we've only got 2 or 3 more columns to go. The next one is AOV. Now, this is the second most important metric that you're going to have today outside of profit. We had CPA. Now, AOV, average order value. This is purchase conversion value divided by total number of conversions. What this means is how much is every sale on average worth to me? Now, our reporting is going to be off on how many sales that we get, but that average order value is going to be dead fucking on because there's no math involved. It's just an average of what everybody generally does. And whether or not you see 100 sales or 1,000 sales, they're generally going to behave in some fashion that's going to deliver an average. Now, if you have 3, that average is probably a lower confidence than if you have 100. But you know what really matters? Having that every single day. If you have that every single day, we're going to get into another part here in a minute that is fundamental to the Scrum Doc. But we're going to understand how much the average customer is worth for us on the first conversion. And that's really important. Because what we want to do is also understand the LTV of a customer. Now, that's not something Facebook can show us, but if you can go into your store and say, if you're on Shopify, for instance, it's right the fuck there. What is the average customer worth to me? Maybe I make a sale and that average first sale is worth $28. And that customer over the next year is worth in total $50. Maybe they make a second purchase. It's a little bit less than the first one. Well, if you don't have to pay for that second purchase, or if you get it for cheaper, well, there's just more profit in it. But you get to know by acquiring that person for, say, $20, and you sold them for 30, and you get your 1.5 ROAS, it's actually worth like a 3x. Because that person's going to be worth twice as much to you. Now, maybe you have to give up a little bit of that to go get them again. Maybe it costs you another $5 or $10 to get the second sale. So you're in for $25 to make $50. So you got a 2x return, even though Facebook shows a 1.5. Now, let's say that happens, but Facebook's not necessarily showing you every single sale that you made. Let's say it's 10, 20, 30, 40% off. Well, then your actual CPA number is artificially high because you're not dividing your amount spent by the correct amount of conversions. So that CPA isn't 20, maybe it's 12. And you get 12, and then like your AOV is like a 50, you're 4xing that person. So that is fundamental in this math. And that's what this doc will show you that Facebook will not show you. Now you can create all these columns, but Facebook's way of showing it to you is day by day, organized in a fashion that is not actionable for you. Next, one of the most important things, we want to include 2 columns. One is percentage of revenue. How much, thank you. Now I do have a Facebook ads MBA course that if you want to get the MBA, you can do that in the PhD course, the ongoing that happens after that. I'm working on that. I just got to find somebody that honestly needs it, because by the time I'm done with an MBA, most people are printing crazy money. Anyway, if you want to get in on that, my next MBA course starts September 1st. DM me if you're interested. It's not cheap, but it will change your life. That I'll hang my hat on. Anyway, the next 2 columns, one is percentage of revenue. So remember when we had purchase conversion value? Well, what we're going to do when we start adding up all of these columns is we're going to summarize them into adding up all of our prospecting, all of our retargeting, maybe all of our strategic testing into 3 separate batches of columns. Now, if you go back in the reel, you can see how I did this. So when we add all those results up, we're going to get a total revenue from the day. Total purchase conversion value from the day. Let's say our store made $1,000 today. And we've got 3 campaigns. We got a prospecting campaign, we got a testing campaign, and then we've got just some other promotion that's running. Maybe you're running like an engagement campaign on something for $5 a day or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. Well, your total revenue is your testing campaign plus your prospecting campaign or your control ads. The combination of them gives you $500. Now, if your testing campaign brought in $100, its percentage of revenue is 10%. Now, next to percent of revenue, we want percent of spend. Let's say you spent $1,000 today. Well, let's be more realistic. Let's say you spent $200 today, right? Or $400. We'll go $400. Let's say you spent $400 today and you made $500. All right? Halfway decent day. Good for you. Let's say that testing campaign spent $100 of that $400. Well, that means it spent 25% of your spend, and it's only responsible for 10% of your revenue. So when you're looking at your overall level of where to invest, where to spend more, where to spend less, what direction, that's a liability. What that also means is your control campaign, well, it spent a lot. It spent, 75% of your budget, and it drove in 90% of your revenue. That's good to know, right? So the idea here is we want to be able to identify where we're spending our money and where we're getting a return. Now, this is not something Facebook's going to show you inside the dashboard because it doesn't summarize all of these things up and then also piecemeal it out horizontally. It'll show you this thing did all of these things. What we want to say is, instead of placing it on its side and seeing this number that goes out with days in it, we're going to organize it top to bottom and say this is all of our control campaign, whether it's 1 campaign or 10. It shouldn't ever be 10, but whatever. Then you're going to be able to see that number through every day. Plus, every 7 days, we're going to have the 1st through the 7th of the month. Then we're going to say month week 1. Then we're going to go the 8th through the 14th, and then we're going to do month week 2. Then we're going to do the 15th through the 21st. That's month week 3. I hope you know where I'm going. We're going to do the 22nd through the 28th. That is month week 4. Now, most months outside of February, unless it's a leap year, have more than 28 days. So those extra 2 or 3 days, we just tack them on. We don't really worry about it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to start to be able to see what happens in the first week of every month. What happens in the 4th week of every month? Is the 4th week of every month really good for us? Is the 2nd week of every month really good? Maybe the 3rd week of the month or the 1st is really bad. Maybe the 1st week is phenomenal and the 4th week is terrible. Well, this means we can now start to understand, well, it's not really a $500 a day budget. Maybe on the first week, we're going to spend like 6 or 7. And at the end of the month, we're going to take some of that money that we front loaded and reduce our investment when we know we're going to lose. And we're not going to be upset when Facebook isn't looking as good because it did exactly what we thought it was going to do. Now, in addition to that, across the top, we're going to have monthly totals. So we're going to be able to see April, May, June, July, August. And you can go back as far, now I've got some accounts where I'm running this back 3-4 years. And what do I see? Every year, June sucks. July is worse. Halfway through August, things start to look pretty solid. And by September, things are amazing. October is incredible. November is amazing. And December, I feel like I can change my life. And then January comes and like, oh, what happened? And that happens every single year. But we're going to be able to plan out the whole next year because we know what's going to happen month to month. This is the type of doc that elite marketers are using. Now, there are really high-end people that can pay tens of thousands of dollars a month to get a doc like this and have it completely filled. And you're going to have this nice Google Data Studio or there's some other metric, a super metrics or something else that's pouring all this into some wonderful graphs and all of this stuff. And that's going to look beautiful on your screen. But you can do it for free. And it takes 15 minutes a day. Tops, maybe an hour a week. And in that hour a week, you can update the data and every day know what are the things that I need to do today. Oh, hey, look, my control campaign over the last week, this week is doing a lot worse than last week. What's going on in there? Now I know what I need to do today. If you update this doc in the morning, you're going to know the 2 or 3 things that you actually need to do. And then you can take your hands off the fucking wheel and let Facebook actually run. Day trading Facebook is one of the absolute worst things that you can do. And it sucks to like give up control and just be like, let me trust the greatest invention in mankind to ever do a thing, actually do the thing that I want it to do. But until you do that, success is going to elude you. Now, you can do it poorly. You can day trade your way to some success. And here's what's going to happen. Your success is going to be incredibly reliant on not only you day trading, but you doing it well, you being right, you're doing it every single day, and you're taking more and more time of your day to make it happen. Now, what happens when you're wrong? What happens if you want to take a break? What happens if you're sick? What happens if you go on vacation? Your business fucking tanks. So now you've made yourself a slave to a factory that doesn't even need you to run. Now that to me feels pretty dumb. And I used to be that guy. I used to know I could sit down with like a Trenti cold brew from Starbucks with no ice at my desk at 11 o'clock in the morning and day trade the shit out of 15 Facebook ad accounts and force $5,000 out in profit that day by sheer force of will. But you know what? When I stopped doing that, I'd make 7,000 or 10 or 100. I've quite legitimately taken a brand where I was day trading at 8,000 a day. And when I let the wheel go and do the things that we're supposed to do, I took them to 30,000 a day in ad spend. 50,000 a day in ad spend. I took a business that was worth 12 to 15 million, and within 2 years, we were worth 95 million. Because I stopped letting somebody get in the way of the machine learning platform. It needs consistency in its data to deliver you a consistent result. Your only job is to remove bad choices and to manage your investment, like it's stocks. But unlike stocks, it learns. It's a machine learning platform. What are you teaching it with every decision and every dollar? So these are the things you really need to worry about. These are the things you need to be thinking about. These are the things that are actually worth your time. So with all that being said, this is how you set up a Scrum Doc. Now, the last thing that I teased earlier that we're going to get to is a total summary section. Now, this is where we're adding up all the columns. But not only do we do that, if you want to go extra credit in Facebook Disruptor School, what you're going to do is you're going to take that number also from your Shopify store or from your WooCommerce store, from your ClickFunnels, whatever. How many sales did you get today and how much money was it worth? And then you're going to figure out how far off is Facebook. And you know what you're going to see? It's off by roughly the same percentage, roughly every single week. Which means you don't give a damn if Facebook is accurate or not. Your only job is to make it better. And once you get to that level of peace of mind, you are going to see success. And ultimately, my goal for you is to put more time into your life, more money into your pocket, more success into your business while reducing stress. Because that's what this machine does. At its core, that is the unfair advantage Facebook has that nothing else can do. Nothing else in the world is as good at Facebook at creating intent at scale. And when you let the machine learn and create intent at scale, you don't have to do a lot. I quite legitimately, right now, am managing, let's just politely put it, I have a 6 to 7 figure monthly budget. I legitimately do not spend more than a couple hours a week managing it. Chrome asks, I hope that's Chrome, no, it's Chomlery whatever, is how to build a winning course, the MBA. No, actually, that's a great course. And if you cannot afford the MBA program, I highly recommend you go to facebookdisruptor.com and check out the course, how to build a winning Facebook ad account. Now, how to build a winning Facebook ad account is referenced in the program, but let's consider more of that of like, that is the best class you can take at community college. But if you want a graduate degree, it's going to take 9 weeks. And every week, there's a new module in an online course. Not only that, there's group classes. Plus, you get one-on-one time with me. Now, it's supposed to be 45 minutes. It generally goes sometimes as long as 2 hours. If we're having fun, we're chopping it up, and we're making you money, I'll stick around. I want you to succeed. So anyway, the Scrum Doc, that awesome thing that you saw in the reel that everybody just wants. And for the record, after I launch the MBA program, I might figure out something else I can do to try to make these other smaller pieces more accessible. But here's the thing that I want you to do. Is start to take a look at organizing your data in the way that we've discussed today. Now, this is alive, but it's going to stay up forever. And if you want to, I'm also putting it on YouTube so you can scrub back and forth. I'm going to get a transcription of this thing. The transcription of this thing with the video and everything else, that's going to go out on the Disruptor Dispatch. Now, if you're not a part of the Disruptor Dispatch, go to facebookdisruptor.com, sign up. It's $1 for the first month, and you get regular emails from me throughout the week. And not only me, but other experts I know from around the world at other disciplines. And it's really there just to help you become really fucking good. And it's written by people that actually do the work at elite levels. Not people that run businesses, not people whose job is predicated on whether or not they can get more clients, because they don't need more clients, because the clients they have continue to get bigger and better. Now, the MBA is not readily accessible on the website. It is something I handle exclusively in DMs. I talk about it a lot, but if you want the details, you can DM me, we can have a conversation. The honest truth is, it is a dynamic program. It changes because I want to make sure that you are getting everything up to date as fast as possible. And I want to make sure that you are seeing the latest information. And if I have to make a pivot in my coursework and on one-on-ones and everything else, plus update a website for things that, like, I don't want to make false promises and I don't want to be out of date. And the honest truth is, I only let about 10 or 12 people in a class. The next class starts September 1st. If you're genuinely interested in it, DM me. I would love to talk with you about it. We've got payment plans. There's discounts for paying early. There's discounts for paying in full. And if you can't afford it, well, maybe we can get you in the Facebook Disruptor School so that we can get you up to the point where the MBA program is a drop in the bucket to the amount of money you can make this year. Because it's an investment in your future. And that's what's really important. So with all that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this today. I'm going to try to do these more often. If you all like it, please let me know. Please comment on posts that I do, even if it's just to see it, be like, hey, great post. Like the things. Help me reach more people. To be completely honest, Facebook media buying is ripe for disruption. 80% of buyers were poorly trained, overworked, poorly trained, and underpaid. And 90% of ad accounts struggle to even find success, much less take advantage of it. I'm here to change that. If you go through my programs, if you go through the school, or especially the MBA program, you're going to be better than 80% of the people on the face of the earth at this job. That's 9 weeks away for you. If you want to get there, DM me. Until then, because this is not a sales pitch about the MBA program, but if you are interested, DM me. Until then, take a look at that reel so you can see how this is kind of organized. And then take a look back at this. And between those two things, I'll bet you can build a Scrum Doc. Until next time, once again, hi, I'm Charlie. I wish you the best. Let me know how I can be of help to you. Because more success and less stress in your life is my goal. See you guys on the internet. Bye!